Hey, welcome back to Happy Little Notaries. Today we're going to talk about grading in film negative space. Now, you've probably been following along and seen a lot of my other videos on Photo Chemist, the tool that I've been developing for 2 years. Well, it has some really unique features that I needed to make some adjustments for to make it even better, to work the way I wanted to do it. And the reason why there's so many videos on my channel lately about Photo Chemist and film grading, well, that's because I'm stuck in this world where I'm building this tool, and so I have to keep working on this tool and learning how this tool works. And so if I'm going to record any videos, it's going to be about whatever's going on. And that's what Happy Little Notaries is about. And this is my work, and here we go. Now, if you've seen Photo Chemist, there's links in the description to learn more about it and all that good stuff. But we're sitting here, we're looking at this node tree right here, and yeah, it's kind of big, it's kind of complex. We'll just bring this down, you can see. But this is kind of a testing ground. We're kind of following this track. We'll look at this one in a different video. But I made a new tool. It's called GE Film. That's just, GE is for all my DCTLs to be grouped together if you download more than one. So that's just a sorting tool. Film negative, the title of it is Film Negative Space CST. So trying to get to the idea, the notion that this is a transforming tool, color space transforming tool to make things work properly in a film negative space. So if this video is more focused on how it works with Photo Chemist, there will be other videos on how it works on this track, which is on its own, as well as with other film scans and things like that. What does it do? Why does it do the things that it does? And all that. But this is kind of a bigger, broader video looking at that. So here in this node tree, we'll just walk through what's going on and what's set up. If you just follow along, this first node is Photo Chemist. Now, I had taken Photo Chemist and I had made a negative stock look, and that's what we're looking at on the screen is my girl in negative. This is what Photo Chemist, when you set it, the processing mode in Photo Chemist from neg to print is one-stop shop. Everything happens, like if we turn this on, this is the full negative and print stock put together. But if we just do negative scan, this is the printer lights transmission. So whatever settings you do here, printer lights, the last thing, this is the transmission through your film stock. This is what you got. This is cool and everything. The problem is we can run this and bypass all this and split this, you can see here, into two nodes right here. And what we have now is the same thing. It's a one-to-one, but we switched it to print only. So neg scan and print only, it's just breaking this into two pieces, and you're able to do stuff in the middle. The problem is, and we'll see in a second, is if we do this, if we go back to just running this out, the problem a person would face is if we put a node here and run this, let's just make sure it's running all the way out. When we grade, when we do anything, it's operating in an inverted space. So color, everything doesn't work right. The other thing is, if we take this tool here, this is mononodes shapers, and paste it here, mononode shapers doesn't know what to do with inverted space. That's a problem because her skin isn't green. The leaves in the background are green. And you can see if we switch this to full neg to print mode, it would know what to do. It's gonna operate differently. So in neg scan mode, mononodes' green shaper tool doesn't know where those leaves on the wallpaper are in the background. That's a problem if you want to grade in the negative space, right? Yes, that's definitely a problem. I want to use this tool in the negative space. And likewise, like if we switch to red shader, or this is skin, I typed in red, but the red shader, so this would normally target her skin. If we copy that over and put this on this trunk right here, you'll see it's targeting the leaves. It's not technically targeting her skin. It doesn't know what to do in this mode. Because like here we're highlighting, it's targeting the leaves and everything in the background. All my tools are inverted. I don't know what to do with it. So to fix this problem, I made my own color space transforming tool to take this output that we have right here, this Photo Chemist negative, and turn it into something that is usable for grading in the film negative space. And that is what this CST will just go. So here we are here, and now we have an inverted image with a little bit of color contrast and a little bit of, I guess this might look similar to what you would expect like a film scan to look like, but we have normalized colors. What it's doing is, it's in its tool set, it has forward, which in theory is going from a digital world to a negative world, or invert, which is going from a negative world, which is what Photo Chemist is, and going to a digital world, so a intermediate print positive place. That's what's going on there. We have input transfer functions for pretty much any log curve that I thought was relevant. Photo Chemist is its own little beast, and what you want to do is pretty much as you're setting this up is have the neg CST go straight to your output, come upstream and drop a grayscale chart, and now you can see what this is doing. So if we turn this off, and just turn this next scale chart on here, you see this is, if we look at our scopes, you can see here, this is a normalized linear curve, linear ramp going in Davinci Wide Intermediate. And then we can see what happens when we run our PC neg through. And you can see here, if we switch neg scan to neg to print, you can see this is what our new curve looks like in the full range of doing neg to print. However, we have our neg scan. Now it's inverted the other way, and now we have our neg CST to turn that into something similar to what we saw when we bypassed all this and just looked at the thing. So we're trying to draw this line similar. So this would be, if you were to just grade after on this grade chip chart, this linear scale, with any of your normal Davinci Wide Intermediate tools, you'd be grading in a space that looks like that. We need to get this to somewhere friendly, and that's where this tool comes in. So what's happening is, you don't really know in Photo Chemist what your starting mid-grade point is. You kind of have to figure that out. It's a little trial and error to figure out what. And what you're really doing is trying to figure and draw, with these controls, a range that works for setting and shaping this space. Let's see here. All these controls have effects to how, if you're looking at the chart and looking at the scopes, watch the scopes down on the bottom right, and it's shaping this low end. Contrast below is shaping how this low end will look, and the compression that is existing, and you're getting this nice little curve. We have the split tone. That's what PC negative is doing to our image, is creating the split in tone. That's why it's not perfect, but you get this nice sense of the film curve that exists. And we're just shaping this to be similar. Like if it looked like this, our tools are going to act differently. And output mid-gray kind of shapes it as well, where mid-gray should fall relative to what we thought our original starting point is. Contrast below, we're just shaping how things go. Now, you might want to soften that. So this is mid-gray, and that's all we're trying to do here, is get something that this line on our scopes is reasonable. Something that would, if we were to grade in this space, it's going to feel like Davinci Wide Intermediate. It's going to feel like anything else that we would be grading in. Now, what you do then is take this next CST, you copy it, and you're going to come over here at the end of your tree before PC print, and you're going to paste it. Now it's going to update the node label, so you're going to want to change that to print CST, like so. And what you're going to do is flip this from, all the settings are the same. You're going to flip it from invert negative digital to forward digital back to negative. And if we dropped this and just bypass this, boop, 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 you can see, and we're just going to bypass all this weird stuff in the middle for right now. And you can see, and we select these two, this now, turn them on, turn them off, there is no difference, a very slight difference to our image up, and that's partly because of the mid-gray blend, but for the most part you're getting a one-to-one return on investment. Isn't that fun? Contrast above and contrast below mid do have some effect that is slightly invertible, but you're getting what you want back. That's the goal. And that's what then is going to go to our PC print, because now we have our image and we can turn this off. And now if we take these two and do it again, turn these on and off, nothing is happening. Our image is stable, it's staying the same. There's slight tweaks, mostly because of how like the grain in PC print functions and stuff like that. But we now have a space that looks like this. Oops, let's bypass it. So we have this. This is it's a print interpositive image that we can look at and do our grading in. And then it reinverts itself back out to our print that looks the same, which is what PC or Photo Chemist is expecting on the way out. And that's what you'll end up with if we're looking at that. And these settings are the same. We didn't touch printer lights for right now. That's on its own. And we're now just going to pipe this out. And this is our image. We're actually going to drive this through here, and I can show you now what grading looks like, because we can turn these off, turn this on. There we go. There's our image. We're now grading in the negative space. So we can say, here is our input. So our image came in. We converted it from Blackmagic here for this image to Davinci Wide Gamut Intermediate. We went into Photo Chemist and we made a negative stock, added negative textures, added all kinds of really good stuff, and output a negative scan. This neg CST then gave us a working space that isn't negative, that's positive for us to work in and do things. So like this node here, we can do fun things. We can work, because the curve is different, it's going to function slightly differently. I'm working in offset here. You can see down here on the controls, we're just swinging offset around very gently and shaping our image. Our log curves are going to work normally. We've got something that's similar to Davinci Wide Gamut. Kind of just draw and get this up. And all this now is getting baked into this new interpositive space that we made for ourselves as we want to shape and draw the image. Now, you may be looking at this and go, all right, cool, that looks good. I mean, under our print stack, but you're like, oh man, I want to work on those greens in the background. I kind of want to work on our skin. I use Mononote Shaper when I'm targeting specific hues. I like it better than Color Slice. I think it's a little bit better. So let's just turn this on. We're going to turn on highlight mode, and we're going to pick our center of our hue right here, and we're going to dial in the range. So we're getting those leaves. You can see up in the top left. We're going to adjust the luma just to get it in. Maybe tighten that up just a notch. Kind of get in what we want, so you can see all the things that Mononote Shapers are going to be affecting. And we've turned this on. I've already made some small tweaks, so we can just reset these to here and just go, well, let's lower the density a little bit. Let's increase the saturation and rotate the hue a little bit warmer, or do we want it to be more tealish green in the background? It kind of depends. Now, but this tool wouldn't work this way in negative space, in what Photo Chemist was giving out, which is why we need that Companion CST to get us to create a space for us that our regular tools want to work in. Same thing is for this. We can label this skin shaper. And turn that on, and we're working in parallel stacking. You can see we're targeting her skin. So we're going to just dial this in until we get a good grasp on her skin. Those bubbles are a little hot. There we go. That's feeling that right there. You can tighten that up a notch right there. And now you can see this tool is targeting her skin, so we can change the density of her skin in the image. And this is just grading and give us a little bit more color contrast, boost the saturation. That's going to be headed into our print. Maybe we line up the hue if we're a little unhappy with where the hue is. Ending up, we can grade, we can swing it way pink, we can pull it back down to yellow, we can kind of just dial it in to that skin hue that we want. Now, like I said, this tool wouldn't work because it'd be targeting the leaves in the background. This tool doesn't work like it's supposed to. But that's what this negative space CST is designed to do. It's to create this space here in the middle, this film negative space between our Photo Chemist negative and our Photo Chemist print to allow us to grade in the middle. And that's the magic of it, is it's allowing you to make something that is seemingly similar. Like, here's this is our negative space. This is what just Davinci White Intermediate looks like. Slightly different, a little bit more expanded. And that's, you can be like, well, I want it to be like that. You can draw this up however you want to get that. You can expand this up and make tweaks to how all these things work. The contrast above, expansion. And now these two from just a Davinci White Intermediate space are fairly similar. It is going through Photo Chemist, so it has its own unique nuances in terms of how it renders things, because it's more of a finished image at this point. But in terms of range and things like that, very similar. And then you would want that negative CST to copy over. I'll just say here, paste, flip that to forward, and now we got a net neutral result from that, but our grading, this might have made our highlight shapers work a little bit differently. So our skin is going to work a little bit differently. It targets pretty well still, a little bit better. Green is a little bit off in terms of how it's targeting, but that's its own thing. This will function slightly different based on those settings in the CST and the space that you made. But in terms of contrast range, this is very similar to the original Davinci White Intermediate space that we had. Does that make sense? So that's what that tool is. Now, here's the thing. I know a lot of you out there have issues with Photo Chemist, mostly because you don't have Windows. You have Windows, and I haven't made it for Windows, so it doesn't work on your computer. And you're probably like, well, what does this tool do for me? Well, it's cool. We can go here, Spaceman. That's what I called it. Originally it was Mid-Gray Wizard. A lot of different names for it. Let's go pull this up. Film negative space CST. We're going to go from digital to negative, and we're going to say our input is Davinci White Intermediate. And so now we have this right here where we have our settings. And we can change, so this would be, there's nothing, you're like, well, it looks the same. Nothing's really changed from if we turn it on or off. Well, that's because we haven't changed anything. These settings, input mid-gray is where we start. That's Davinci White. 0.118 is Davinci White Intermediate in linear. And we're going to just move mid-gray up. And you can see this on this chart as well. If we just take that, nothing changes, and we're just going to move mid-gray up to where mid-gray and our low end is slightly different. We can actually then compress or expand up our range above mid-gray. We can lower or compress that, and what you see is what you get. Now the cool thing is I made it so that you can run this in animal style mode, which will do the 1-to-1 in to out all the way. The only thing that will be baked in is your printer light controls in this space. So it goes into that this forward thinking space, digital to negative, this negative space. And when you use your printer lights, these are density, these are use metrics to change, it will increase how much red. So you can see it's putting more red in the shadows where it's denser because there's more light. It's acting like real printer lights. It's calculating density as how to apply this increase in red light. And then we can pull back and kind of shape our image like so. We still get that nice roll off at the top. What is going to happen is in animal style mode, I'm from California, I don't want to eat at In-N-Out. It's In-N-Out, that's why it's called animal style, because it's crazy like that. Animal style, In-N-Out, what's happening is this input mid-gray is getting adjusted to our new output mid-gray with our contrast adjustments above and below. Printer lights are now working in this new space, adapted to this new space, and then those get baked in because then it reverts back out to original Davinci Wide Intermediate mid-gray. So these are operating in film negative space. You went from, as it says, negative, or you're going from forward to negative, forward, digital to negative, negative to digital. So this is the reverse of the node structure that we had for Photo Chemist, because we went from the negative to a positive space. Now we're going from a digital space to a digital space back to a film space. Now we're going from a digital space, which is our Davinci Wide Intermediate, to the film negative space, to that. So it's this weird, it's how it has to work. I don't know. But if you're doing it animal style, all you have control over is printer lights. It's in and out. And that's fine. Some people might actually like that. You can see how that's working the image there in terms of shaping it. We can actually grade under OpenDRT here if we just go like this. So now we're grading under OpenDRT, and in this in and out mode you can see how these printer lights are shaping and drawing and designing our image in terms of grading it. So you're grading in that intermediate space that isn't Davinci Wide Intermediate to create your image based on how you're drawing these lines around. That's what that's doing. But it has forward digital. We have our settings. We can actually cancel out our printer lights for right now. And we will add a node for right now. We're going to just take these ones out because that's silly. And what we're going to do is put that in. We're going to add another node after that. And we're going to take Spaceman here. We're going to copy that. We're going to paste that. And we're going to tell it we're going from invert negative to digital. And we're going to put that over there. And what you're going to see if you turn all these off is no change. So what's happening? Same thing that's happening above. These two are making an in and out move from your input mid-gray, which was Davinci Wide Intermediate, to this new mid-gray, which is now really high with some other shaping involved. And your controls, lift, gamma, and gain, and offset will feel way different. In fact, some might say offset in this space feels like printer lights, because you have how offset works with the elevated mid-gray, with the elevated low-end points and compressed high-end range, with how you drew this new space. Offset here functions way differently than if you just went and we turn, like if you look at this, we're going to get a completely different image. We select these two nodes, oops, right here, and deactivate them, you can see this is what offset would be doing if you were not in this space, and this is what it's doing here. It's a very subtle, it's a different control. It feels different, it operates differently, it draws on your image differently. Sometimes it feels good, sometimes it feels great, but this is what is replicating, because we're going from a digital to a negative to negative to digital. This is kind of replicating this same space that we drew up here. Oops, daisy. I don't think you can see. Yeah, you can see my note tree. So this same space that we did up here, where we were in between a film negative and a film positive in Photo Chemist, this same unique elevated space of controls. And so what you're going to figure out is when I'm going from Davinci Wide Intermediate to and back, you're going to just figure out what feels good to you. Like, so if you change this, you can actually offset these and it's going to change your image because these aren't in sync anymore. So there's things that happen with that. But you get to shape this space however you want to then make your tools respond how they feel good to you. So it takes a little bit of a learning curve. You can actually then also still use the printer-like controls. They still function and work in the same space that they do. You actually can use them twice. You can actually push it up, push it down. This will, but they are baked into the system. They aren't reverted out. So you can go up one. You say we push one all the way up to 50. If in this one we pulled it all the way down, it's going to be a really weird image. I never really played around with that. Oh, we push that up to 50. You get a net 0. That's how that works. So now this space in the middle is tinted green. Looks like this. Whereas the net neutrality of these two, there's no change if we turn them on and off, because we've pushed the printer light. So we've actually tinted this in such a way that now if we were to use, say, our green shaper up here, it's going to function funky. Because now it's selecting way more different things because there's so much more green in the image. And you can see how that then is working to rotate and shape our hues. That is fun because we tinted our image in the middle. So you can see that when we go to highlight what all is being selected in our green with our green shaper. When we just draw this up, change the range a little bit, we're getting skin, we're getting green. So we're getting a completely different selection than we would have without this. Like we turn this printer light tinting off and turn this printer light tinting off, you see we're only getting the green leaves in the background. But if we turn that undo, you can see we're getting a whole bigger selection with it. And when we rotate our hues, they're happening in concert. It's a lot of fun to fiddle with, and how it rotates. It's keeping, so what it's doing, because it's selected the green, is rotating the hue of both the green and the skin tone at the same time. It's also increasing saturation and density at the same time, in concert together at the same time. So you're not losing that balance because you tinted your image. Well, this is what the shaper is seeing. It's seeing a green tinted image. It's working with a green tinted image to reshape how it functions. And that's why it's such a really cool tool. And it's so fun to play around with, tweaking the space that your tools are working in this film negative space that you get to create yourself. There's no bounds to your creativity. The cool thing is input transfer function. I used to have input and output as an option, but for simplicity's sake, I went with in animal, it's just what it's going in. In animal style, you're getting back what you put in. It felt like there wasn't really a point. But in split sandwich mode, I can change this out and go, well, I want to go to Area Log C3. So now, theoretically, the linear transformation from this space back to a log format would be not going back to Davinci Wide Gamut, Davinci Wide Intermediate, you're going back to log C4. So now your tools should be functioning like they're in log C4. And you can go to Aces, you can go to Sony, you can do whatever you want. You can also go from Aces into and back out, and that's going to affect everything that all the controls, everything does. It's all there. Or you can just do linear. But that's all the fun stuff that this tool is doing, and hopefully I'll probably do a little bit more, an individual video on just this section here, and a little bit more as I explore, even as I learn how this tool works. So have fun in this long extended 30-minute video for Happy Little Node Trees, and I'll see you in the next one.